When it comes to having a wonderful, relaxing night that is comfortable and cozy, you're missing one element, and that's sexy. But tonight, I've got sexy with me as well. But not only sexy, intelligent, adorable, magnificent, talented, gifted. She is so well rounded. It is a pleasure and honor to be welcoming a lady that we have been embracing and loving her work that she puts forth on film for a long time. So, the fabulous and amazing Lynn Whitfield is with me tonight. Y'all may know her as the First Lady of Greenleaf. You may know her by a few other names, but last season on the side, you know her as Alicia, and you know she ain't playing no joke. So, Lynn, thank you for coming into the Quiet Storm tonight. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
How have you been?
I've been really, really well. Just back in the country from 2.5 months in South Africa.
No way.
Yes, yeah, I was working on a film there, a Malcolm Lee film, a thriller. Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm back, and what a blessing to come back and come into I don't know how quiet the storm is,
It's a
but
little it's a little rowdy at times, to be honest
but
with you.
the storm of the return of the shy, season 7.
Well, you know what? For you to be working with my good friend Malcolm D. Lee, I know that's going to be special in itself. And I know he likes to keep secrets. And I know I can't pry too much out of you because you're
You
going to keep a
can,
secret too. But
you
you know
can.
what? I'm going to try to get something from her, ladies and gentlemen, before she gets away from us tonight. But I'm so happy that you are going to be moving up to the next level in the Shy this season. Now, we should tell everyone, though, last season wasn't an easy walk in the park. I mean, on the season of the Shy, you lost your son. I would think if Alicia's like my mom, she ain't going to be playing around. She's going
No,
for a vengeance, you know?
no, yeah. It's really was a challenge for me, as an artist
Mhm.
to channel the energy of this particular mother. I get to play lots of mothers, but a mother who loses her son to the streets, and plays by the rules of the
Mhm.
street. I had to really find, that level of consciousness, um, those instincts within myself, reaching for her. And that is where season 7 is going to pick up.
Wow. You know, I've seen you, and we've all seen you. We watch you all the time when that Madea family reunion thing comes up. And you're a different mom in that than how you're going to be in the Shy. No question about that. And you know, the Shy is so real to what is going on at the moment, unfortunately, in our
Yes, it
community
is.
sometimes. So a lot of mothers who unfortunately may have been in that situation are going to relate to your upcoming season. I don't know if they're going to take it to the extreme. I don't know if they're going to have a young lover like you have on the side, but I know, which I want to talk about as well, Lynn. We're going to talk about that. But I know they're going to be able to relate to the seriousness of what the Shy often brings forth because it's a wonderful series. It's been going on for so long, and we are glued to it. And I understand last season, on season 6, was the most streamed that it has ever been. So, with you coming to the forefront, Miss Lynn Whitfield, and what you're going to do, Miss Lynn Whitfield, I can
Yeah.
only imagine what's going to happen from next. Are you excited
Yeah.
about this season as well? Could are you and how do you anticipate your audience to receive what you're going to do?
I can't anticipate um, them. I think that it's an invitation to step into the energy of a phenomena that's going on in our streets right now, that's going on in our country, that's going on in our world,
Mhm.
of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. People who are at sort of immovable, coming from different perspectives, and how they go about trying to relieve their discomfort, pain,
Mm.
grief, loss. I think it really is a little microcosm of where we are right now in the world.
Agreed.
And I can't anticipate how they'll feel about it. What I do anticipate is that they will empathize with Alicia's choices. be wrong, right, or indifferent, good, bad, ugly. They will understand why she steps into perhaps the trap of revenge.
If you have not detected this woman's voice, because she has a very distinctive voice, her name is Lynn Whitfield. Yes, the Lynn Whitfield. And that character role that she's describing is her role in the season of Shy. We're going into season 7 this week, and that is the lady who is intimidating but fearless and quite powerful, one might say. And we're going to see her power as well. But now you spoke about pain, so I'm going to go into a song from a film of another character you played that went through a painful experience with Martin Lawrence.
Yes.
Thin line between love and hate. And there was
Yeah.
a song on the soundtrack that this group, by the name of H-Town, remade called A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. So we're going to slide into that. And we'll come back into our conversation with Lynn Whitfield in The Quiet Storm. It's sexy tonight, ladies. Fellas, turn it up. The Quiet Storm in full effect, and I'm Lenny Green locking you down with company tonight. And this beautiful and major actress has been doing so much and has been in our presence for so long. I don't know where you might have fell in love with her. Remember correctly, was Hill Street Blues
Oh my
back in the
God.
80s, right?
You pulling it out.
That was the very first time I think we all got really kind of introduced to you.
Wow. That was one of my early guest starring roles.
A good role.
Yeah, yeah, playing Torian Black's love interest in Hill Street Blues.
Wow. When you look at your growth period between that was the 80s, 1980 till now, what do you say in the mirror to yourself?
Well, you know, I guess I'm kind of hard on myself and I walk around with the desire of like a little girl. Like it's like a kid outside a candy store of all the stories I can tell, of all the characters that haven't come to life. But I must say, I am so gratified that I have been able to create characters and contribute to stories that are not disposable,
Mm,
that stand the test of time. And that means a lot to me because, you put a lot of energy into, telling a story, building a character, and for it not to be in vain. So for you to talk about Hill Street Blues right now, and we're on a press tour, so people are asking so many questions of so many characters and stories that are still around. How long ago did I do Josephine Baker?
yeah. How about that?
And I when I was a little girl. Side note, and I would sit watching the $1 Million Movie with my grandmother, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and watch something like All About Eve and see Betty Davis walk down those stairs and say, "Fasten your seatbelts. It's gonna be a bumpy night." And I was like, I want people to quote my character.
Wow. Wow.
And I always wanted that from like a little girl. And so now when people say, you know, you're gonna rot in hell. And what did you say, Miss Whitfield? I vacationed there. And they remember
That part. That part. Yo, yeah, they remember it. No question. So,
you know? And
when you were
so
little,
when I was little, I knew that I wanted to play characters that would be memorable and classic and stay around and stick around for a long time. I never wanted to do stuff where, you see it and then it's gone and you don't
yeah,
remember
you forget
and
about it.
nobody
Yeah.
knows, nobody cares. So, I've been able to, do it with Brandy Webb and Roz and Eve's Bayou and Josephine Baker and Lady May and
Lady May.
now Alicia. So when I look in the mirror, when I do give myself credit, I just am so grateful. I say, "Girl, okay, you doing that," and people remember not Lynn Whitfield, but they remember those characters, those women who very rarely have a
Mm,
voice in television or film. Those women don't have a lot of voice ever. I mean, how often do we hear from like a lady maid? How often do we
You know,
hear from a
you know,
fabulous Chicago woman? And there are so many fabulous
yeah.
Black people in Chicago in real life, in
Hmm.
real time. I mean, it gave us, our president, Obama. It
That's
gave
right.
us Michelle Obama. It's given us, and now, a pope. Um,
All right.
so, it's just, I appreciate that. And what I also do when I look in the mirror is say, if people remember that and they were pleased with that work and entertained by it in their soul, then it means I have to keep doing good work. I
Well,
have to continue. And when I look in the mirror, I say, okay, y'all, don't want to stand on my shoulders because I got to be light on my feet. I have things to do. I have more stories to tell. And, a woman at any age, it's still the little girl in her that felt all those things before she was fully developed. So I still live in the little girlness of this thing called art and storytelling.
well, you know what? I'm so happy just to hear you say that you have more things to do because you absolutely do. And we wouldn't think about anything less of that. We want to see you in more interesting roles. And just to scratch on that just a little bit, what could possibly like be in the near future that you would like to delve into in terms of roles or maybe even producing and directing and writing?
I really would like to work with writers to develop stories. I really at this point don't have a desire to have 5,000 people asking me questions as a director because
Okay,
I still love being in front of the camera.
I hear you.
I maybe want to design
Hmm,
within
I can see
film
that. Yeah.
as well. But yeah, I would love to do. I mean, you sit there with that, with that amazing voice of yours that you have, and the maturity that you have of being and having spent this time in radio and just live life. So I think that I would like to do a a dramedy, a love story, between mature people who
That's right.
don't just have, baggage, but trunks of stuff that they're unloading, trying to find love, trying to find their way to partnership. I think that would be a lot of fun. I would have a great time doing that. I also um, would love to be a superhero.
That'd be high too. I can see that. Yeah.
And it's probably very controversial, um, because, the morality of it all, but I do find it interesting that early in the history of humanity, women had very little power to do things, to take
Hmm.
authority over their life. They could
Hmm.
not vote,
Yeah.
very rarely went to college, if they weren't born into some kind of good circumstance, um, what they had was themselves. So I really would like to explore um, a really interesting, complex madam.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I think that you know it it's an interesting place that women sought to have power and control, and many of them did.
Yeah, they did.
And many of them gained, and and then went into other businesses and all of that. So that's a character. I have a particular one or two that I'm thinking of, but I'm not gonna say because if somebody beat me to the punch, I'd be really, really, really annoyed.
Lynn Whitfield is with us tonight. You might know her from last season's the Shy as Alicia, and she is coming back with vengeance in season 7, which is about to get underway this week. So make sure you log on to be glued to the TVs, as I will be watching her play her role. Mommy's going to take over in a great way. Now that her son is gone, she's not very very happy about what happened last season. So season 7 is going to definitely be covers off and don't be in her path. We're going to come back and find
No
out one
covers
more
off
thing.
and gloves on.
I want to wrap it up with Lynn Whitfield in just a few minutes, but I do want to come back and talk with you about this younger man situation that you got going on, because this happens in life. All
Yeah.
right, this is the Quiet Storm, and it happens in conversation as well. You'll find out in just a moment. The Quiet Storm coming around the curve, baby, to cap up a wonderful conversation with the most gifted and talented Lynn Whitfield, who has done so much and continues to do so much in the acting arena. And it's great to know that she will be a part of season 7 in the upcoming Shy. So you don't want to miss it at all. In this upcoming season, you fall in love or meet a young man that you're smitten by. And, it happens in life. I was once in a situation where I was dating an older woman. And I want you to speak to this because it's sometimes overlooked with, age gaps, but sometimes, kindred spirits bring people together. And it's more than just people wondering or, giving controversy, as you mentioned a moment ago,
Yes.
over the age difference.
Yes. When you find solace with a
Mm,
person, it may be an unlikely person. It doesn't necessarily, it doesn't always come from central casting. What looks perfect for
right.
a particular person. So no, like nobody came through Alicia's door that she would feel comfortable with, who you felt like, oh, this is the perfect picture. What came through her door was a handyman who, played by Jason Weaver, who was absolutely brilliant.
Hmm.
But in that, this woman who uh, was fixing everything and trying to control everything, there was a guy that didn't seem to be threatening, who was charming and helpful. And at this moment, she feels harmless, where
Hmm.
she could feel safe to just experience intimacy and kindness and hear some like cool listen to the quiet storm,
How about
you
that?
know,
How about that?
and have a bottle of champagne and have some mimosas on a Sunday and just like be okay, like let your hair down. And I
Yeah.
think that is a really interesting situation, to see somebody, because that's when you see somebody who's always in control just lose a little bit of control and just be at peace, kind of be calm and find the intimate moment where it's just a little bit of joy.
And we all need that in life, no matter
Yes,
what
we
age.
do.
And we all
Yes.
want somebody who meets us at that level, that person, our person.
Exactly.
I agree.
Exactly. It doesn't happen very often. And actually just playing the role, you sometimes you find what is in you, or you find something that makes you have a more of a sense of adventure, or to take a shot, because we so often are like, this doesn't look right. This isn't the perfect picture. So I'm not doing that. It's not up to my standard, or
There you go.
or it's so many things that go through our minds. But yeah, I think to see these two people just find something with each other for the moment, forever, you don't know, and
Don't know.
everybody's not always willing to take those chances, including myself. I mean, so I think it's a great exploration in a show like this to see the adventure of it all.
And we will be watching every frame of that. You understand that, right? I know the ladies will be watching every frame of that aspect alone. Lynn Whitfield, this has been a pleasure. I see you as a fashionista. In most films that I've seen you in, your wardrobe is impeccable. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if you decided, if you haven't started already, coming out with your own line of clothes. Have you thought about that?
You know, During the pandemic, I love skirts, right? Because I
Okay.
think skirts are a symbol, like a garment of femininity, and they're comfortable.
Mhm.
Back in the South, they'd be like, "Ooh, child, it's hot." It's like it's more comfortable than jeans.
I'm sure it is. A little more freedom, one might say. Yeah.
So, so I did do some skirts, and it was so resonated on Instagram. But then, of course, I didn't like keep it going or try to turn it into a business. It was my own folly for myself. And but yeah, I would love to have a line of clothes or collaborate
Mm.
with other designers and have my little space within their lines, you know?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. I think aesthetics, the aesthetics of life and how we express ourselves. I mean, it's really frivolous when you get down to some things because we have nothing if we don't have our health and
Mm-hmm.
all of
Most
that.
part.
But
Right.
there is an art to expressing your outer, expressing yourself outwardly, you know, what may be going on inside you in clothing. I think it's
Mm.
fun.
Mm. Well, I just replanted that seed in your mind, so it
Oh,
wouldn't
yes,
surprise
you
me
did.
in a few months, or maybe as soon as next year, you might come out with your own line or a collaboration.
Look
So
at you. I received that. I
I'm glad you
received it.
did. I knew there was a purpose for me today. I knew there was a
Yes,
purpose for me to
yes.
drop
You
that
know,
seed in
and
your
I'll
mind.
say, I don't know, Lenny had on that sort of shrimp peach sweater. Like,
Right.
I'm inspired by that. Let me see where that's gonna take me.
It's gonna take you
That's a
someplace tonight.
beautiful color.
You're
I've been
very kind.
admiring it the whole interview. Of course, all of you can't see what I see, but what I see is it's a certain kind of eye candy too, you know?
Well, I could have you around all day and just help me to balance my life. Lynn Whitfield, this has been a pleasure. This is our first time, but it won't be our last time. And I wish you continued success overall. But I know this upcoming season of The Shy is going to bring you happiness and fulfillment as well. So
Thank you.
keep doing your thing, sister. And we love you immensely for what you have given
Oh,
us.
thank you so much. Thank you, Lenny, and thank you for being out here and doing what you do and bringing us this quiet storm.
Anytime. Just make sure you light the candle when you do the bubble bath. Know that a musical massage is waiting for you afterward.
Oh, I will. Oh my God, that's so intimate. I got to know. I'm blushing now.
Lynn
Bye.
Whitfield, the quiet storm tonight.